Great. Well, welcome everyone to the Passion Interviews for the Linn Academy. This is a series that we started last year to really give members of the Linn Academy an opportunity to share their passions and hopefully help to inspire you to follow yours as well. My name is Bill Schwingle. I am a member of the Linn Academy. I am a master teacher of interior alignment and a soul coach, etc. And I've been a part of this community for quite some time. It's an amazing community led by our fantastic Denise Linn. Denise Linn, for those who don't know, modern day mystic, best kept secret, some say. And she has started this academy many years ago, really sharing what she has learned in her many travels, in her experiences with kind of the various realms around us. So she has brought to us feng shui, space clearing, soul coaching, gateway dreaming, and many other things. And it's really created this fantastic community called the Linn Academy. And you can learn more by going to the website, linnacademy.com. With that kind of put out there, I did want to introduce our guest today, Felicia Messina-D'Haiti. She is there's so much to say about Felicia, so it's hard to know where to start. She is an unbelievable member of our community who has gone through the experience of training and becoming kind of master trainers in many of our works. So she is an interior alignment master trainer, and that's instinctive feng shui and 7-star blessing space clearing. She is a clutter coach, a trainer for clutter coaches as well. She's an oracle card reader. She is a soul coaching trainer. She does it online as well. She also has contributed to several books. So she's a contributor author to some amazing kind of really enlightening, inspiring books. So I'm sure Felicia can tell you about those. And she has been a part of this community and really supports this community in a lot of different ways. One of which is being a mentor for clutter coaches in that program, as well as several others. So really excited to have Felicia here today. She's going to be talking about clutter clearing and its kind of impact and support for our souls. It's a passion of hers that she's had for a while, but I don't want to take up too much more time. I'm going to pass it to you, Felicia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Bill. That was a great introduction. I'm happy to be here with you today and to share about my passion for clutter clearing. So first, I think I'll tell you a little bit about how I found the Linn Academy and Denise Linn. And that, oh, wow, I think it's close to 20 years.
Wow.
Or so. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I had been teaching and I was kind of feeling like, okay, there's like something I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not quite sure what it is. And I went to this women's retreat, and one of the assignments was, it was kind of like find your passion. And so one of the assignments is to make a list of everything that we like to do or everything that we're even interested in. And she said that what you're meant to do is going to come from this list. Like, I didn't believe her. I was like, yeah, that's, but I'll do it. So the assignment, I didn't even know like feng shui was a thing at this time. But I had things on the list like interior design, color, yoga, numerology, astrology, and some other things that I didn't really think, and photography. And I didn't really think, I was like, these things aren't really related. And I started doing Google searches when I got home to see like, okay, is there, I would use different combinations of things to see what would come up. And the one thing that kept coming up was Denise Linn's interior alignment school. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So I bought Feng Shui for the Soul. And I, again, it was like, what's this interior alignment school thing? And so I found the website and I started contacting different teachers, and I couldn't get in touch with anybody. I was like, where is everybody? He was really strange.
Mm.
And then I finally got in touch with one of the teachers, and she's like, "Oh, we were all at a conference this weekend."
Ah, right.
So I talked to a couple teachers, and she's like, "Once you find the right teacher, you'll know."
Mm,
And so I did, and I ended up training with Luann Civic,
mm.
and everything that was on my list was included in the training.
Okay.
Even the yoga was included because Luann does yoga.
Oh, right, right, right. Yeah.
So everything that was on my list was included in the training, and it just
Mm,
opened up like a whole new world for me. And I realized that I had actually been doing feng shui things since I was little because I was always like rearranging my furniture and like,
mm,
oh, I want to paint my room. And it was always, making the space feel good. Like, how can I
mm,
make the space feel better? And being in a space that felt nurturing and supportive was always something that was important to me, even when I
mhm.
didn't know.
Right. And what I love about Denise's teachings in feng shui is that if it feels good to you, it's good feng
Mhm.
shui. And you
Yeah.
just had that natural kind of inclination and tendency for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so that opened the door.
Hmm.
And then I discovered that the feng shui and space clearing training led me to soul coaching training, and which led to, I think, gateway dreaming and oracle card and clutter
Hmm.
clearing and everything. And what a couple things I really like about Denise's trainings is that they all center on like our personal relationship with our energy and the energy of our environment, and how we can tap into what's best for our soul
Hmm.
and what we need. Um, and then also, I found that clutter clearing was part of all of her trainings in some way,
Hmm.
and how important it is for us to be intentional and about what we have in our space
Hmm.
and how the things in our space like really impact us, and how we can get like messages, how we send ourselves messages by the stuff we keep.
Hmm.
So it
For
was
sure.
really fascinating for me to like delve deeper into that area of clutter clearing, like not just like getting rid of the stuff, but like what does it mean and how does
Hmm.
it really impact us?
So you talk about the messages that we send ourselves. So and I know that you're passionate about kind of clutter clearing and its connection to our soul and how they are connected. Is that what those messages are coming from? Is it coming from our soul? What is your thinking on that?
That it is coming from our soul, from our essence.
Mm-hmm.
And when maybe there's, an event or some feelings that we haven't had closure on. And so we'll start collecting physical things that subconsciously like relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're collecting like 50,000 paper bags, maybe there's, you can look and see like what is the connection to like why does this make me feel safe to keep 50,000
Mm-hmm.
bags? Um or other things like if you were really attached to a former career and you're still surrounding yourself with all the things from that career and you're not ready to move on, it
Mm-hmm.
can just give you like hints at like what are things that you need to resolve? What are things that you're not recognizing that maybe you're passionate about, but you're kind of like not recognizing that that's your passion.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like you start putting things in different places in your house or gathering certain things, but you're not using them. And it's like, well, why are you doing that?
Exactly. So for those who may be new to clutter clearing, can you talk a little bit about kind of what it is and why it's important?
Mhm. So clutter clearing is really the practice of releasing things that you don't use, that you don't love, that just don't make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So, or things that are broken, unfinished projects. It could be a lot of things. It could be a lot of physical things like that, but it could also be things like, if your to-do list is 10 pages long and you never get through the things, like that's
Mm-hmm.
clutter.
Yeah.
So it could be mental or emotional things too that just clog our energy. And it can really impact us in the way that like either we waste time or procrastinate or just feel stuck. It's
Mm-hmm.
really an accumulation of stuck energy.
And so when we feel stuck, or that, we have that kind of stuck energy, what is the impact to us, to our soul, to kind of to our lives?
Yeah, we kind of I think it creates like a barrier where
Mm,
we're not really, or it numbs us to
mm,
our internal messages. Because if
mm,
we have so many external things going on, so much, and these things are like giving us messages like, oh, you didn't finish this, or you can't finish anything. I mean,
mhm,
there's lots of different messages that we can get from the clutter that really creates a barrier and it creates a lot of noise where we
mm,
can't hear the messages from our soul.
mm,
So it's like a
mhm.
disconnecting us from our essence.
Have you found in your teaching or with clients specifically that people just, they have these hurdles to even understanding, and kind of what are some things that you help them to kind of see or sense, or, just to make a step toward clearing their clutter?
Mm. So the first thing that I like to do with clients is to help them set an intention.
Hmm,
So and the intention centers on how is it that you want to feel in this space.
hmm,
So if you want more a feeling of expansion or creativity or just love and peace, love, peace, joy.
hmm,
um, how do you want to feel, and then how do you really feel in the space? And so what can we, what do you want to release from the space or invite into the space that makes you feel, that gives you the feelings and support that you need?
hmm,
So setting an intention is really the first critical step
mhm.
in the clutter clearing process.
And have you found that people get that? Like, and what I mean by that is that an easy concept for people to kind of align with, this idea of intention setting?
I think for a lot of people it is.
Mhm.
Um, but I think for some people it's like they haven't consciously thought about what do I want? Because I think a lot of people are, especially if they're in like caregiver
Mhm,
situations,
mhm.
their focus is on what do the other people need,
Right, for sure.
and very little focus on what do I need. So
Mhm,
sometimes when you ask, they're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before. So sometimes we'll do like a guided meditation or
mhm,
some journaling to
mhm,
kind of pinpoint what it is that they want to focus their attention on.
mhm. So once they have that intention, what's the next step that you suggest for people?
The next step is to pick a space
Mm,
that where they want to start for clutter clearing. And with their intention in mind, kind of look around the space and, ask questions about, are the objects in this space reflective of my intention?
mhm,
Or do they bring me the feelings that are represented in my intention?
mhm,
And that's where we start like clearing things out.
mhm. Sometimes, I've run into friends or clients who say, you know what, I just have this big junk room and it's overwhelming. How do I even approach that? What would you recommend for someone who feels a little overwhelmed?
Mm. Just to start with like 10 minutes a day, either a time limit, like 10 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
or just three things. Like just go in
Mm,
the room and pick three things that you're going to make a decision about.
mhm,
And usually that starts a kind of a cascade effect
mhm,
where they're like, oh, those three things was easy. Let me do three more. Or
mhm,
I did 10 minutes. Let me do 10 more.
mhm.
Um, and it adds up. I mean, the clutter didn't just appear overnight.
Right.
So it's gonna, I think a lot of people expect that they can, well, I'm just gonna clutter clear today and it's just all gonna be done in a day and I'm gonna be done and everything's gonna be fine. It's like, well,
Mhm.
no, it didn't appear overnight. So it's not
Right.
gonna disappear like that.
Yeah, that's great kind of reminder for people to know that it's, it takes work, takes some effort, and, with, all that. So I've worked with some folks who, I'll make some recommendations around clutter clearing. And it'll take a little bit of time, but once they start doing it, their perception shifts about their space, and they start to feel lighter. Is that kind of a do you think that that's kind of a normal reaction or a normal result of clutter clearing?
Yeah, I do. I
Mm,
do. In fact, I was actually with a client yesterday at her house,
mm.
and I'd been in her house about maybe 6 months ago when we first started working together. And then I went back yesterday and I felt lighter. I was like, oh, the space feels so different. And
Mhm,
so she started talking about the space, how she thought it felt more expansive and lighter
mm,
and just
mhm.
um she felt more joyful in the space and
Oh,
more at peace. So that was good.
I love that. So step one, intention. Step two, pick a room, and if you're overwhelmed, start small.
Mhm.
Is there another step that you'd suggest for people as they're taking their clutter clearing journey?
Mm. I think one important thing is once they make a decision about something,
Mm,
take action.
mm, mhm,
So, and that means like 6 months later, we don't want to see the things you decided you were going to release, and they're still like in the garage or in your trunk or,
mhm,
in bags somewhere. Like
mhm,
make a decision, take some action, and make a plan.
mhm.
There are a lot of donation places where you can pre-schedule a pickup. So,
Nice.
you could pre-schedule a pickup and say, okay, this is my deadline. Let me do some clutter clearing, and whatever I've done by this date can go.
Mhm. Nice. One of the things that I often like um, hearing Denise talk about is the idea that we forget at some point to take a moment and just say, "Hey, I did
Mhm.
something good here." Some sort of
Mhm.
celebration. Do you find that that helps as well as having those little celebrations with clutter clearing?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Even if it's just the three things,
Mm,
because that's three
mhm,
things that you've released. And
mhm,
so that is a celebration.
for
And
sure.
I think a lot of people that um I think it's hard for challenging, I'm not saying
Mhm,
hard, challenging for many people to celebrate themselves.
mhm, for sure.
And
You know,
so that's part of it, part of the process too.
absolutely. And to me, it's about honoring and celebrating beginnings and endings,
Mhm.
right? So that we have that
Yeah.
opportunity to say, "Hey, this is a moment to recognize." Um, so I wanted to ask too about, well, there are two more questions that I have. One is you touched a little bit about caregivers, and I've had some clients who are, in the spiritual practices. They're Reiki masters, or so that they are really focused on channeling their energy for others. And the same things they do for others, they forget to do for themselves. And
Mhm.
so that this kind of so do you have any recommendations for those who are in these fields to uh, really support us, be a little self-focused,
Mhm.
and how they might be able to do that to kind of recognize that they need to take care of themselves too?
That's a good question. Um, I mean, I think I always go back to the you can't pour from an empty cup kind
Mm,
of
mhm,
analogy,
yeah.
where if we're constantly giving and giving and giving,
Mhm,
then when are we like replenishing ourselves?
mhm,
And
for
also
sure.
thinking about abundance and the like exchange of energy in the universe. It's like we need to take in order to release. And if we're just releasing, 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 when are we, taking care of ourselves?
Mhm,
And I I've I think a lot of people who are caring for others tend to not only neglect themselves, but
mhm,
neglect their space. And so it's related.
mm, mhm,
Um, and do keep a lot of clutter because they just don't take the time to self-care and
mhm,
take care of their own environment.
absolutely.
Um, And so just making it part of, like, if they made it part of their spiritual practice or part of their daily meditation or
Mm,
something, just even if it's one object a day
yeah.
or, 5 minutes a day added on to like spiritual practice time
Hmm.
would be a good time to like, oh, what am I going to release today? How am I going to take care of myself?
I love that. I love that. So one other question, and this is really a question that people may be having is, what, I have a friend, an aunt, a grandma, a mom, whomever, and they seem to be hoarders, right? They've got so much stuff. It's just overwhelming. How would you recommend, or what would you recommend for those who really are in that place of hoarding?
Mhm. Good question. Because in a place of hoarding, my main recommendation is to get therapy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so if the person like wants to help their, relative, like the relative, the one who is like having the hoarding tendencies
Hmm.
needs to want
Hmm.
to change.
Yeah.
And so we can't clear other people's stuff for them.
Hmm.
Which is hard, it's challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but having that person be at a place where, okay, I'm ready to accept support, I'm ready to accept help, and then do the
Hmm.
clutter clearing along with working with a therapist.
Yeah. I mean, it's so amazing to me, maybe it started 10 years ago where they started having shows about hoarding and
Mhm.
those sorts of things, and
Yeah.
really highlighted that. So I think it does come to mind for some people, and it really is a safety mechanism. But it's not something that,
Mhm.
to your point, if they aren't ready or willing, and they may need some therapeutic help to get there. So for
Yeah.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to believe, but we are almost at the end of our session. So first, I want to thank you so much for being here, and your information has been really, really helpful and insightful, and I'm hoping others feel the same.
Thank
But for those who have been inspired, um, how can they reach you? What do you have any courses or workshops or anything coming up in the near future?
I do.
Mm.
So the easiest way to reach me is through my website,
Okay.
www.feliciadhaiti.com.
Mhm.
And I created an online course called Elevate the Abundance of Your Home.
Mm.
And so it's like completely independent online course where you go through kind of intention setting, clutter clearing, and then some feng shui um, adjustments to bring
Mm.
more abundance into your home.
Mhm.
And I'm also have later this month, actually,
Yeah,
I'm starting an online feng shui certification course. And,
fantastic.
and later this year, I'll be
Mhm.
doing the first online certification course for the clutter clearing program.
Fantastic. Wow, that's great. So they should reach out to you at your website.
Mhm.
Can you repeat that for those who may not have been listening the first time?
www.feliciadhaiti.com.
Okay, perfect. And so I am so looking forward to the work that you're doing in clutter clearing, the certification. That's fantastic. That's really exciting that we're going to have an online course for that. And the amazing work that you do and the support that you provide to the Linn Academy, and the world, really, because that's what we're here for, right? So
Yeah.
well, thank you so much, Felicia. It's been an honor to speak with you, and always a pleasure. And until next time,
Thank
um,
you.
we'll close out this passion interview, but more to come. Looking forward to the many sessions we'll be having in the days and weeks ahead. Thanks, everybody.